I'm Tass Mellis of The Starters.
This is Ben Golliver with the Open Floor Podcast.
Hi, I'm Kristen Ludlow from NBA Inside Stuff.
I'm OG Anunoby of the Toronto Raptors.
Hey, I'm Elena Donon, and welcome to the Double Clutch.
Double Clutch.
Double Clutch. Double Clutch.
Double Clutch Podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Double Clutch Podcast. I'm one of your usual hosts, Mike Miller, and tonight I'm joined once again by a very special guest, Sky Sports NBA's own Kyle Picknell. How you doing, fella?
I'm very good, thank you, Mike. How are you?
Yeah, I'm well. Although I did tell you before we started that I'm absolutely knackered today, so that's always a good start.
It's okay. Don't. You shouldn't let the audience know that. You should.
No, I know.
Yeah.
Well, I said I didn't know why, and then I've sort of figured it out. I had my first COVID jab on Sunday, so maybe that's related to it. I've had the Pfizer one. I've had a dead arm for basically 48 hours now, and hang on, is it? No, it's Monday. 24 hours, 36 hours. I don't know. It was yesterday morning sometime. About 36 hours, we'll call it. So yeah, but I am part vaccinated, I guess.
Oh,
but
that's good. That's a
yeah,
start.
that is a bonus. Returning to normality, he says. I'm guessing you haven't been told to go for yours yet.
I haven't been vaccinated yet. No.
No.
I'm very much wanting to, but yeah, there's more important people than me. First, I suppose. yeah. I mean, I didn't want to put it in those words. Like,
Well, you're too kind.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're not here just to talk about COVID and vaccinations. If you're not already following, please do so at Double Clutch UK, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, all over the place. There's a Discord, discord.me/doubleclutch. You can watch us live on Twitch at twitch.tv/doubleclutch. And we're in fact live on YouTube now as well. Too many options. You can find us everywhere. We're like COVID. We're everywhere. For those of you watching live, thanks for coming out tonight. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that. It's the playoffs. We've had 8 games of playoff basketball. We've had overtimes, game-winning buzzer beaters, upsets, altercations, and ejections. It's amazing. How much are you enjoying this time of year already, Carl?
Well, I mean, I can't remember the last time you had 8 games as good as what we've had over the weekend, and just every game seems to have something interesting or some kind of cool narrative to it. That in the past, I remember like there's just been series that no one really cares about, but it doesn't feel that way this year at all. So I'm really enjoying it. I haven't slept much, but as a basketball fan in the UK, that's just the price you pay, I suppose. Yeah, but definitely. No, it's been very exciting. It's only going to get better as the series go on as well.
Yep, and we've had UK friendly tip times. We've had a 6 o'clock and a 7 o'clock at the weekend.
A blessing, mate. Yeah. Honestly, the West Coast 3 a.m. tip-offs they just destroy me. But you know,
yeah. Well, when I
stay up, when
I used to work in London, so I'd get up at 5, and then it would be game straight on the phone, and you pick up, the last quarter of the 3 a.m. And then whilst I'm watching one, I'm downloading another to watch on the train. But thankfully, we don't have to do that at the minute and for the foreseeable future. Shout out to Kirk, who's behind the scenes making the magic happen, sat on the back of the bus, and to Matt, who will be producing the audio-only version of this. We've got lots and lots and lots and lots to discuss today. But Kirk, do you want to tee up a video for Around the Association? Okay, so the week started off with no live basketball last Monday, but that doesn't mean there wasn't any content or NBA news. In fact, we got an ex-player full-blown beef as Matt Barnes and Stephen Jackson from All the Smoke had Gilbert Arenas on the show and really hit a nerve with Kwame Brown, the former number 1 pick, and from the Washington Wizards, former Laker, who just went absolutely ham on social media platforms, calling them out afterwards. So it was thoroughly entertaining in the absence of live games. We also had Phoenix Suns head coach Monty Williams voted Coach of the Year by the National Basketball Coaches Association. Then we got what we'd been waiting for. We got the playoff play-in. And per Turner Sports, TNT's doubleheader coverage of Tuesday's NBA play-in averaged 2 million viewers. That was up 50% on the network's 2020-21 regular season average. The Celtics won over the Wizards, averaging 2.5 million viewers. But that surpassed any regular season telecast since opening night. So this is just a huge audience who got to witness Jason Tatum, who, as last week's guest Nathan Caton predicted, dropped 50 as the Celtics took care of the Wizards and secured their postseason berth and a first-round matchup with the Nets. There was a slightly smaller market battle going on as well with the Hornets and the Pacers. That averaged 1.4 million viewers, and it was a blowout where the losing team still managed to drop 120 points. It had a final scoreline of 144 to 117 win for the Pacers. The Pacers were also without Karis LeVert, who had to enter the league's COVID-19 health and safety protocols, and I'm sure we'll touch on that later. Things got even bigger on Wednesday night as the play-in continued to provide drama and intrigue. The Grizzlies, who entered the postseason's non-playoff round as the only team with play-in experience, ousted the San Antonio Spurs 100-96 behind 23 points and 23 rebounds from Jonas Valanciunas. But let's face it, it wasn't really the matchup that people were pumped to see. People wanted to see the LA Lakers beat the Golden State Warriors 103-100 after a go-ahead three-pointer from LeBron James with 58.4 seconds on the clock and roughly 3 possessions left in the game. It set Twitter alight. The Warriors responded to that shot by trying to force a Steph 3 despite there being plenty of time, and unfortunately, for all the positives Draymond provides, his inability to shoot from distance really hampered them here. With Steph double teams, they just left him wide open, and he was not interested in stepping up for that at all, which I kind of get. But still, if you'd been a competent three-point shooter, that would have spread the floor, giving you a much better shot at winning that. The game drew an average audience of 5.6 million and peaked at 6.15, making it the most watched NBA game on ESPN since the 2019 Western Conference Finals, and with audience numbers up 190% versus the 2020 play-in. So who'd have thought the Lakers and the Warriors was a bigger draw than the Portland Trailblazers and the Memphis Grizzlies? Then, on Thursday, the NBA announced its award finalists for all the major awards for the end of the season. The Tampa Bay Raptors' Chris Boucher kicked off because he wasn't considered Sixth Man of the Year. No one really noticed. We also got the 8th-place play-in for the East, which saw the Wizards blow out the Pacers 142-115 to book a first-round face-off with the Sixers. The NBA also released the new playoff hype video featuring Idris Elba, and for some reason, I don't know if anyone clocked it, but there's lots of in-game action shown on that. And then there's just a random clip of a guy, like an actor, wearing a grey kit, being helped by 2 teammates that clearly isn't an NBA thing. It just felt like a weird sort of little thing they put in there. They also announced, the league did, that fully vaccinated coaches will not need to wear their masks during playoff games, which is a great positive step forwards, and the league itself is moving towards a post-COVID world. Let's go back to the Lakers. Per Dave McMenamin, LeBron James violated protocols by attending an event for his tequila brand earlier in the week. Despite instances such as the aforementioned Karis LeVert, LeBron wouldn't be suspended by the league because, and I quote, "the nature of the event didn't rise to a threat level of virus spread," which sounds kind of like a post-apocalyptic game rather than something that the NBA should be saying at any point. The event occurred before the game against the Warriors, and it was a brief outdoor photo shoot, and invitees, including recording artist Drake and actor Michael B. Jordan, had to provide proof of vaccination or a recent negative test in order to attend. So there were steps taken to make sure this was all COVID safe, but in the end, it was still a breach of protocols. Friday night wrapped up the Western Conference play-in, with the Grizzlies taking down the Warriors 117-112 behind 35 points from Ja Morant. The Warriors got 39 points from Steph, which is something we've become just accustomed to over the season, and we're going to miss greatly over the summer. They also got decent numbers from Draymond and Andrew Wiggins, but it wasn't enough as the Grizzlies secured their first playoff spot since 2017. Following the success of the play-in tournament, talks immediately began to circulate once more of an in-season tournament. And we're going to get to the playoffs shortly, but in other news today, the NBA has formed a new African entity, which is called NBA Africa. Investors include Dikembe Mutombo, Junior Bridgman, Luol Deng, Grant Hill, and Joakim Noah. And the last bit of news, the NBA has informed franchises, this is per Shams, that league personnel must be fully vaccinated to attend the draft combine next month unless there's a medical or religious reason. So that is a heck of a lot of COVID talk wrapped up into what happened around the association this week, which wasn't intentional. But let's just jump back into what your favourite moment was from the week. Was there anything in particular that stood out to you in what has been, quite frankly, given the significantly less number of games we've had, has been an incredibly jam-packed week?
I've just loved the Grizzlies. How they overcame the Warriors after, pretty much they took the Lakers all the way, and it took a LeBron desperation free to beat them, and then the Grizzlies just turned up. Ja Morant did Ja Morant things, and I love that. And I think that's testament to the playing tournament being a success, because this is what we wanted to see. You want to see the shocks, the spills, and a team that otherwise wouldn't have been in the playoffs now in the playoffs, and they've already taken a game off the Utah Jazz. So it just adds to the excitement for me. So that was probably my highlight. But I mean, the entirety of the play-in, bar those two Pacers games that were either a blowout for them or a blowout against them, were all really good. So I'm just a big fan and fully endorse that addition to the NBA, to be honest.
So you'd welcome it staying around then?
Oh yeah, because the other thing as well, it made the last few weeks so much more interesting than they would have been. And when you usually get to that final run of games, and the NBA teams just rest players, no one really cares, and it's like garbage time, but for 4 quarters in most games. So I don't know, it just seemed like a breath of fresh air for me, and really kind of added intrigue to that last run. I mean, there was a point when you had I don't know, there was only 2 playoff spots firmly decided in terms of what seeds they were, and this was with 5 games to go. So I mean, that's incredible. I don't understand how anyone can be against that if you live for the drama as I do.
I agree. It's stopped teams from tanking. It's given a competitive edge. It's given teams who would normally be out of the race a chance to get there. What I love about the Grizzlies is that not only did they have to overcome the Warriors, they had to do it having lost to them on the final game of the season when Steph sort of exploded. And I think they blew them out in the end, but they've had to obviously recover from that, go and play an extra game against the Spurs. And then the best thing is that was it wasn't pitched as a do or die game. It was like, it's really important. One team here is going to get the 8th seed, one team's going to get the 9th seed, blah, 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 blah. And then they both ended up playing each other anyway. The Grizzlies, like you say, they're on an absolute tear right now. I honestly was high on them before the season started and couldn't wait for Jaren Jackson Jr. to get back. I still don't think he's at full throttle.
That's the thing. He hasn't even looked like his old self, and the Grizzlies are still doing this. So once he's fully fit, fully healthy, they're going to be even better. Yeah,
they're already a top 6 defense, and then they can add him to that, and very excited for the Grizzlies in general. So obviously you're a big fan of the play-in tournament. It sparked conversations around whether there should be an in-season tournament. Are you a fan of that idea, or is this not something you would like to see in the NBA?
I'm intrigued by this idea, but I'm wary at the same time, because there's so many games as it is that I find it difficult to figure out how they're actually going to make room for this in the schedule. I mean, I don't know what the plan is in terms of reducing the number of regular season games, but it'd have to be quite significant, I think, to allow, because isn't it like an 8-team knockout, I believe, is what's being bandied around.
I can't remember, to be honest. I'm trying to remember back now to when it was previously talked about, because it was they were looking to use interdivisional games as dual purpose, where
qualifiers.
So whoever you played in your division, whatever your record was, it was 8. It would be an 8 because it was 1 from each division and 2 wild cards, and they estimated it would only add sort of like 2 or 3 games to the season, or once you'd gone past those divisional qualifiers, because then it would be a straight knockout. I don't know. It does seem logistically overly complex to try and pull this together, especially when teams are playing sort of 3.5 games a week. And the scheduling guys have done fantastic this year in terms of getting through all the, we have had no games lost due to COVID, that sort of thing, but we have had games shifted from the first half of the season to the second half. So maybe that's something they're going to carry on doing going forwards, where they give you the first half of the schedule, and then depending on that, we'll schedule the second half to allow for these games. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure I can get on board with it, though.
Yeah.
I just don't see the value in another title.
But the one thing that I keep returning to is how good March Madness is in terms of college ball. Like, knockout basketball is just insanely good. So that's my reasons for. Like, as a fan, I would obviously watch it. But yeah, I just in terms of the players and the amount of games they're already having to play, I'm not convinced it's feasible realistically.
Yeah, I'd watch it, but I might sit there scratching my head for so why are they doing this? Why are we making these stars play 40 minutes in a regular season, the middle of the regular season? Cool. Let's jump onto the playoffs themselves then, because like you say, it was an amazing 8-game slate to start it all off. It's sort of a slight nod to how mad this season is, that of those 8 games, 4 were won by the lower seeded team. That's how close it is, and one of them, as you mentioned already, was a 1-8 upset. It's just this season has been mad. We know it has, but I just wasn't expecting 50% to come from, usually at home, you've had a week's rest, you've got ready, you know who you're facing. You should be facing someone weaker than you. The only, 4-5 is close as always is. But you'd expect more than 50% of the wins to come from higher seeded teams. Well, I would anyway. And I know it's only one game, but home court as well. Did you get a sense of that at all?
Well, I've read a couple of times that this season has been the lowest win percentage in terms of home teams.
Yep.
So there's been more road teams coming into an arena, but I thought that was because there was no fans. But now obviously there are fans back, so I thought that would return to normal. But I suppose it's the playoffs; anything can happen. If you turn up on the night, then you're in for a good shot. And I suppose the thing I was most impressed by is that the teams who came through the play-in tournament, they like even the Wizards, who I were not expecting to be much of a threat for the Sixers. They put up a fight, and it was very close until like last minute or so. Obviously the Grizzlies won. Boston are always going to have they've got an impossible task, to be honest, of doing anything against the Nets. But yeah, these teams were meant to be tired and kind of worn out by these playing games, and they just weren't. So yeah, I was very surprised and impressed by that. And listening to Madison Square Garden with a playoff basketball game in, like even through your TV, it's fantastic to hear that. Just the yells of defense, like every single possession on that end was special. You got Spike Lee jumping around in the front row, as annoying as he is, but I'll allow it. I'll allow it in the playoffs. And the Suns as well. The Suns fans were fantastic, just screaming "beat LA" the whole game. So yeah, it was great to have the atmosphere back as well.
Yeah, I sort of slipped into it without even realizing it. And a couple of times I sort of caught myself mid-game going, well, hold on a sec. There's almost a full block of fans here. There is a lot of noise coming from it, and it just I had to sort of catch myself and go, this hasn't been happening now for close to 14 months or something like that we haven't had fans in the arenas to that degree. So yeah, incredible. I wonder maybe if that's why. Obviously, you mentioned road teams winning more, and you thought it would change when the fan came back. Maybe it was the fans coming back. They were a bit like
there's pressure now.
Where did they come from? Ah, dear. So let's hit a couple of the series then. So the Saturday's game set up what would be a weekend of fantastic basketball was an overtime game. Miami Heat 107 at Milwaukee, who had 109. Obviously, Chris Middleton hit that fall away jump shot with 0.5 left on the clock to ice the game. It was a little bit scrappy at times, not great from the floor for people like Jimmy Butler went 4 of 22. The Bucks themselves shot 16% from 3. I came away from this really feeling confident in which is not a confident pick either, Heat in 7. I really felt that they, taking this overtime in game 1, they really have a shot here.
This is exactly the kind of game the Miami Heat want to play, isn't it? They just want to be scrappy. They don't want to make things easy for the Bucks. They want to keep it tight and then let Jimmy Butler down the stretch hit a big shot and win the game. Unfortunately, Chris Middleton did it in this time round, but I had the same thing. I thought it was, even though it wasn't aesthetically the best basketball, because there was so much fight and it was so tight possession to possession, and both teams were really fighting and just giving it their all. I really enjoyed it as a game, even though it wasn't the prettiest basketball, shall we say. I don't know. I think am I going to question Giannis here? I feel like Giannis there's something not quite. There wasn't something. There wasn't enough there in that first game for me. I feel like I don't know. I think the Heat seemed to get under his skin a bit more than other teams. Did you have that inkling?
Yeah, the fact that Jimmy Butler has not played against the Bucks all regular season is definitely there's something going on there. It's literally a case of he's there to get under his skin, and we saw it. There was a couple of really good sort of just that he didn't poke the ball away, but he got contact on the spin just to throw Giannis off and step out the way, and Giannis would then commit a travel. There was a couple of really savvy moves like that sort of threw him out of rhythm.
Yeah,
I think one of the key things for Giannis is he's got to make those free throws. It just felt to me like this game could have been done and dusted if he'd have just knocked some shots down from the line. But I think on the broadcast they were saying in the playoffs he has the third worst free throw percentage of all time for players who have averaged 20 points or more, which is just, I mean, that's scary. I mean, obviously guys like Shaq could dominate close to the basket and survive with that kind of shooting, but Shaq for his titles was paired with Kobe and Dwayne Wade, and Chris Middleton's great, Drew Holiday's great, but are they enough to hide his free throw failures? I don't know. I have higher expectations from Giannis. I'm a Giannis stan. I really think he can actually knock down shots. His mechanics are a little herky jerky, but there's nothing there that isn't fixable. It just frustrates me. I want more from him all the time, like you. Expect more from him, want more from him, and I think that's what we do with all of our superstars. They're never quite up to where we want them to be.
But I mean, in fairness, I think most people had this going to 6 or 7 games. Like this series was always going to be like a dogfight right until the end. There was a team isn't going to win this series in 5 games. It just isn't going to happen. They're both too good, and they're both, I don't know, they both want to beat the other one so much, which is because of that history between them. So I'm just looking forward to game 2, and I feel like Miami will take it. Actually, I think they'll level the series.
Yeah, that's you can't go into someone's town, lose the first game with half a second left, and not just want to tear them apart. Second game, I think I'm sure Milwaukee are going to come out the same way as again. You know, they had a scare in the first game. They want to clamp down and prove that they are a contender. But I just think Miami have just got a hunger that no other team in the league can deal with, or can compare to. There's something there. It's Jimmy Butler just having his personality magnified by that Heat culture. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So,
he's the kind of player that after that Middleton shot would have dropped, he would have wanted the rematch right then. Like let's just play the second game right now. Let's just do it. Let's go back to back.
Let's reset the clocks, reset the table. Let's go.
He just has that freakish mentality, doesn't he? That's why we love him. That's why I love him anyway.
Well, yeah, you mentioned. So I mentioned he went 4 of 22, and then, as you pointed out, he then hit the shot that sent it to overtime, and it was just like to have the confidence in yourself after such horrific shooting display to then still have it. Still have it in you to go and get that last bucket. There was one point I thought he was a bit shaken up because he got that hard foul. I think he landed on his wrist or something. Brooke Lopez hit him in the air. And then a couple of possessions later, he drove in, and I thought, oh, here we go. He's going to win the game here. And he sort of hesitated and spun and turned out.
I remember that possession. He kind of got it looked for all the world he was just going to go to the basket, and then he pivoted back, didn't he? And he didn't have a pass.
Yeah.
And I think they turned it over in the end. I remember that exactly because I was shocked as well, because that is not a Jimmy Butler kind of move. So yeah,
it made me think he was hurt or they were in his head at that point, which is not something I'd ever say about Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, it was very unusual for him, but hey,
yeah. Game 2 is tomorrow night, I think. So we haven't got long to wait for it. Let me just flip it up. Here we go. Game 2. What day are we today? Monday. So Tuesday night at. No, it's not, is it? It is.
I had in my head it was tomorrow night, but On all the game, all the
It's tonight at 12:30.
It's tonight. Oh, fantastic! Okay.
Tonight at 12:30. So we're back on in a few hours with this series, which is great. But yeah, Kirk's just showing the clip where Brook Lopez nailed him out of the sky. Man, it's going to be a rough physical series. Can't wait to see the rest of it. Let's move on to probably the one that everyone's talking about. The Lakers lost to the Phoenix Suns 99-90 in a very low-scoring affair, but it was ferocious, and there were ejections, there were technical fouls, there was a couple of kerfuffles, injuries. Chris Paul went down with a shoulder injury, came back like Willis Reed, sort of lumbering around the court. Couldn't really do what he needed to do. Still hit a clutch. He loves that drive to the right, fall away elbow jump shot. It's always been in his bag, but he struggled with it. But he still managed to hit one of them right near the end. Devin Booker set a franchise record for playoff points in a debut. Are you worried at all for LeBron and the Lakers? I mean, it's hard. It's one game. LeBron has been notorious for not caring about the first game. Is there any concerns from what you've seen? Yeah,
I'm worried. I'm very worried for it because I think the decisive factor in the series was going to be Ayton and how Ayton stacked up against Drummond and Anthony Davis, and he dominated both of them. Like he had 8 offensive rebounds, while I think Davis had 7 total. Drummond had 9 total, and Drummond is a player who he's capable of 15, 16 rebounds per night, and that was what Ayton had, and as well as scoring 21 points. And Ayton he's not that kind of 20-point game guaranteed scorer. He's like 10 to 20. So for me, it was a fantastic performance by him. And if he keeps that up for the series, then I think the Suns will get through this, because I think the rest of the teams are fairly even. It's just if Ayton can kind of, I mean, in fairness, it's his first playoff game, so what a way to start. I know Booker will probably get all the plaudits, but I think he was just as impressive, and I think he's going to be the key. And also, it's funny you mentioned that Chris Paul mid-range to the right. I remember looking at after he hit that, I went and looked at Kirk Goldsberry's, his shot charts, his locations, and Paul has hit the most shots from that location this season, and like the segment next to it as well. So it's just his bread and butter. Even with one arm, he could probably make that shot.
Yeah, it's mad. Kirk's just thrown up for anyone watching live now the kerfuffle, as I'm going to call it. So basically, for those who aren't watching, if you missed it, it's where the loose ball foul on the free throw, where Chris Paul pulled LeBron's arm and sort of undercut him. But it was away from the ball. It was Campaign and Alex Caruso, who on the previous possession had a collision, which was a no call, and Jeff Van Gundy was very upset that there was a no call and something should have been called block or charge. Obviously, that spilled over to the next possession. Did you think it was worthy of an ejection? I get why there was a technical foul. The throwing the ball thing really didn't do it.
I'm not for ejections in playoff games unless it's something like really, really serious. Throwing the ball at someone, come on. I mean, it seemed like overkill to me, but that's just NBA refs. I feel they're always kind of clamp down on stuff like that. Like in the regular season, I think was it Devin Booker who got ejected for he passed the ball back to the ref. He did it maybe slightly harder than usual, but it was nothing. It was still just like a pass, and he got ejected. So this is just one of the pet peeves, to be honest. I don't think he should have. He was having a good game as well, Campaign. He's been really good off the bench for the Suns this season, particularly because people thought his career was over. Like I know he was promising when he was much younger on OKC under Westbrook's tutelage, but yeah, he seems to kind of revitalize himself and found his way. Like he's an important part of this Suns team, so I'm pleased for him, and it was a shame to see him ejected, to be honest. I wouldn't have thrown him out.
What about Trez? Because obviously he ran what looked like about 45, 50 feet to I don't know. Was it a body check? It kind of, to me, it was. Yeah,
he just kind of ran into it. Pretty much.
Yeah, to me, that was unnecessary. I get why he got technical. Can only be one in the chat has said Trez, who is a Suns fan, said Trez should have been out. Do you think
I of the two of them, if I were going to eject someone, I would have gone for Trez as well. But I think the funny thing about Trez is that he probably got the benefit of the doubt there because he's like such this high energy, like aggressive playing style. it's almost as though he wasn't doing anything out of the ordinary by that. He kind of got the benefit of the doubt from the refs, is the way I saw it. But yeah, it was. I mean, he came from, like you say, 40 yards away to instigate a kind of what do you keep calling it? A scuffle or a kerfuffle?
Kerfuffle. I'm going with kerfuffle because it's really difficult to say, and I somehow managed to say it.
So, yeah, I mean, again, I wouldn't like to eject him, but I think he did more than Cameron Payne, certainly. I love how Caruso was just in the middle of all this, just chilling, just being Alex Caruso.
Yeah. So obviously the Lakers are in it's first game and it was on the road.
Mm-hmm.
They've still got a long way to go. You said you had slight worries. Ayton obviously is the X factor. Hopefully Chris Paul's shoulder. I think someone said they heard a crack or a pop, which is never good. Hopefully his shoulder's fine. I've not seen any reports to the contrary.
Mm-hmm.
Had you picked the Suns to win this?
No, so I'd actually picked the Lakers in 6, I think.
Same as me.
And the reason was actually, full disclosure, I did playoff predictions like about a month ago, so early playoff predictions, and I had the Suns to win the whole thing. And the only reason I've changed from that is watching LeBron in that play-in tournament Warriors game. And I just feel like he reminded me that he's just different gravy. Like, he's so difficult to beat. Even when the Lakers don't play well, he will just find a way to see them through. And that's literally the only reason I picked the Lakers in this series, because I think whoever wins this will get to the Western Conference Finals, whatever happens. So yeah, it's LeBron. LeBron's just he's the reason. That's all it is. I think the Suns are a great team, like great balance. Like Mikal Bridges is great. Like he's a fantastic role player. And these role players, these are the guys you need to win a chip. Like, these are the ones that may not get all the credit as Paul and Booker and Ayton, but like he's a fantastic glue guy. And I think this might have been his first playoff game as well. I'm not 100% sure about that, but yeah,
I think it is.
Yeah,
that's one of the things. One of the key things to this team that was sort of a reason for not winning was the lack of playoff experience here. Mm-hmm. And yet we've got, if you look across some of the rosters, there is an abundance of inexperience. I mean, the Hawks Knicks series, I think only 3 of the 10 starters had actually played in a playoff series before. Mm. So I wonder whether I wonder if there's too much onus placed on the value of playoff experience. If you've got the right sort of standards and culture and vets in there who lead the way, then maybe that can that helps them. Obviously Chris Paul has been to many, and he's just helped every single team he's been to. This Phoenix team looked completely prepared for this and didn't look like they were sort of shied in the lights or anything like that. They were ready to go.
I think that's a really interesting point, especially if you look at someone like Devin Booker, who has waited so long for this opportunity in the playoffs. Like, he just looked like he was not scared at all. He was ready for this, and he played as such. And maybe that's like it's a double edge, isn't it? Like, they don't have the experience, but maybe that just means they're fearless. They don't know what it's like to lose a playoff series yet. They don't have any kind of reservations. They just they're here, they're excited, they're going to go for it. And that's how it looked in game 1. Whether that pans out across the series remains to be seen. But I'd be very confident if I was a Suns fan right now, to be honest.
I think they are. Can only be one in the chat that said get the brooms.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I don't know. LeBron isn't getting swept. Let's just be clear. LeBron isn't getting swept. But I'm liking Phoenix right now. I really am. Yeah,
I mean, they're an incredible team. But even down 1-0, I can't count LeBron out. I'm sticking with my Lakers in 6. I mean, don't get me wrong, I will be happy if the Suns win. I have no sort of horse in this race, but I just can't look past LeBron still.
Yeah. He's going to have a monster couple of games at some point. Like they're going to come, and we do have to say that Anthony Davis did not play like Anthony Davis. He's going to play better than that for the rest of the series. Yeah. So, I
mean, he's stepped up and owned that straight away, hasn't he? He said, it's my fault. I've got to be better, which is what you want from one of your leaders.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, he knows what he has to do the next game. And knowing Anthony Davis and the player, I think people have kind of forgotten how good Anthony Davis is because he's been injured for so much this season. But like he's a guy you can't rule out after one bad performance. So there's definitely there's definitely a response coming for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Let's move over to the Grizzlies Jazz thing. 'Cause you mentioned that Memphis had been your sort of moment of the week, just how they've excelled here. Obviously, they were the 8th seed. They've gone through 2 play-in games to get here, and then they put 112 on the Jazz, beating them 112 to 109. Obviously, the Jazz are without Donovan Mitchell. In addition, Rudy Gobert fouled out, which is anytime you can get the guy who's going to be Defensive Player of the Year off the court is fantastic. Dylan Brooks is playing at an elite level, just ridiculous from this guy this postseason so far. What were your takeaways from this one?
Well, I mean, like you said, Dylan Brooks is a man possessed, and this is part of the reason I like the playoffs so much, because you get these guys who might not necessarily be household names, and Dylan Brooks maybe should be. Like, he's a very good player on the Grizzlies, but he's certainly not a guy everyone knows about, and he has just been playing the best basketball of his life these last few games for the Grizzlies, and they've all mattered. All these games have mattered. Like from the Warriors' final game of the season, the 2 playing games to this, like he's just been watching him hound Steph Curry. Like was, I know Steph still went off, but like when Brooks was guarding him directly, he was severely limited in comparison to when Brooks fouled out and when there was another defender on him. So he's just been fantastic on both ends of the floor. I think how many he scored? That's like 31 or something. It's just
it was something like that. I think the pair of them became the first rookie debuts to score over 25 since hold on, let's see if I can recall this, since Ben Gordon and Andrea Nocioni in like 2011. It was a real sort of throwback, like the youngest guy.
Ben Gordon, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Absolute legend, Ben Gordon.
Yeah.
What was that? He 6th man of the year in his rookie season. Love a bit of Ben Gordon. The Grizzlies. I think I've got a Ben Gordon jersey somewhere. But that's for another time. The Grizzlies just really sort of gelling together at the minute, coming together at the right time. Still got this. It's a completely different version of grit and grind, but there's still this defense first team that feisty, and then they've added like Ja Morant's just another level. Like, and that's no disrespect to Mike Conley, who was an absolute stalwart for that franchise for however many seasons he was there, but he never had the ceiling that Ja Morant's got, and this guy's just got no fear, no fear at all.
He's frightening how good he is, and the thing is, like, he doesn't have that 3-point shot yet, and he's gonna get that in the next few seasons. So once he had like I don't know, even like a 36% from deep kind of shot to his game, like he's just going to be an absolute menace to the entire league. And yeah, I mean, people probably don't realize how young these guys are. So they just feel like a proper team. This is why I've enjoyed watching Memphis. They're like, even when it didn't go their way against the Warriors, there was no like name calling. There was no kind of blame game. There was like, okay, we can still get it done. You know, we've got to beat the Spurs, and then we can maybe beat the Warriors again. They did. So even Kyle Anderson, I love Kyle Anderson. He just flashed up there. Like, watching him is hypnotic almost. The way he can just beat people with pump fakes and off the dribble, even though I could probably beat him in a 100-meter sprint. And I'm not a fast guy either. I don't know if that's a Kyle thing or like I'm just as slow, but he just has that craftiness and that kind of, like, he can shift his balance, and he's a very clever player. And you really see that kind of Spursiness in him. Like, he plays like he's still on the San Antonio Spurs and just whizzing it around with like Ginobili and Parker and whoever. But now he's taken that to the Grizzlies. It's really he's been great. I love JV. JV's just the beast. Just that 23 rebound game he had was spectacular. I mean, I think people don't appreciate enough how hard it is to get that amount. Because Russell Westbrook makes it look easy, I suppose, as a guard. But 23 rebounds is insane. It's nonsense.
Yeah, it is. You mentioned Kyle Anderson there. I actually made my other half sit and watch him the other day. I was like, look how slow he is. And she's got very little interest. And she's just like, I can't see what you're looking at. And I was like, why are people biting on this pump fake? And how is he taking? Look how slow he is. And she's just like, no, I really don't care. But that defensive play at the end where they were up 3, and I think it was either I think it was Bogdanovic had the ball coming into the front court, and you see him look up at the clock and make the foul. So it's just he knows they're in foul trouble, but shoot 2 shots, get the possession back, and you're still up a point. Was just that was next level. That was very Spursian. Going to be a good series, I think. Obviously, I want to see Mitchell back fully healthy. That's a big difference maker. But the guy's now been out for 6, coming on for 7 weeks. That's a heck of a long time without basketball, and then to get your legs under you, to get back in, for the team to deal with the disruption of roles changing and reducing. Do you think they can seamlessly fit him back into this rotation?
Well, that's the worry now, is they're going to rush him back because they've lost his first game and they've probably realised, oh crap, the Grizzlies are, this is a good team we're facing here. And I predicted that, again, full disclosure, I predicted the Jazz to sweep this series, so I'm as shocked as anyone. So I think that they're going to consider rushing him back, and I don't think it's going to go well because, like you say, he's been out for 6 weeks. You can't just snap back into playoff basketball. You can't. It's not how it works. So yeah, I'm a little concerned for the Jazz. I still think they're a great team and they probably will get through. But yeah, we need Donovan back, and we need him back only when he's healthy. If he comes back, trying to do it earlier than his timeline is what it actually is, then sometimes that makes it worse, and he could pick up another injury, and that's it, and that's him for the playoffs then, which I don't want to see. I don't think anyone wants to see, even if you dislike the Utah Jazz, which many people do for some reason.
Those who even heard of them. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, we're not going to go through every single series because, quite frankly, it would take too long. So, Kurt, we're going to drop into nothing but Nick's silly nonsense. Do you want to roll that tape? Got to give him a second to cue it up.
Nothing but Nick's silly nonsense.
Okay, so Saturday night was the night we'd all been waiting for. All the build-up that leads to the time of year when fate will be decided, greatness will be achieved, and those who come out victorious will become immortal. I'm of course talking about the Eurovision finals. Italy celebrated a glorious victory. San Marino inexplicably had Flow Rider as a representative, and the UK achieved a rather modest nil point. It's clear the UK needs to rethink how we're doing this. If our nation was to use the world of basketball to fill our participants, who would you pick for the following roles and why? So he's given us 4 roles to pick to build our supergroup. Okay. So who do you have with lead vocals?
I don't know if you saw Eurovision, Mike. I don't know if you're a Eurovision guy. You don't strike me as one, no. Okay.
Definitely not.
I'm not. I didn't watch it, but I saw the Italian band that won the thing, and they were very much like black nail polish, tattoos, crucifix earrings, kind of like hipster vampire tattoos, all this kind of thing. So in that sense, I'd like to nominate Kelly Oubre Jr. as our frontman, because he's first of all, he's very handsome. Second of all, he's a bit edgy. He's got all these tattoos. Sometimes paints his nails. Sometimes has these big dangly earrings. So I think, regardless of whether he can sing or not, I'm assuming he can't, I think he'd look good. So
yeah, he would, 100%.
He just has that je ne sais quoi, that X factor. I don't know.
Yeah, I completely agree, which is what you want your lead man to have. I like I say, I'm not a big Eurovision guy, but when you started describing that, this is random, Italian group, it reminded me of when I was in Tallinn in Estonia at I think it was a beer festival actually, but they had like, I don't even know what to describe them. They were like folk death metal, and there was like a guy playing an accordion, and at the same time doing the whole, like, whatever you would describe death metal singing as. It was absolutely insane. But yeah, it was a good, I've gone for my lead vocals. I've gone with a very distinctive voice, because I think that's what Eurovision calls for. Something that doesn't necessarily have to be good, but just something that sticks in your ear and gnaws away like a termite of some description.
I think I know where this is going, but I'll let you.
I'll be impressed if you do. I've gone with probably the most unique voice in NBA history.
Dikembe Mutombo?
100%.
Oh my god! I mean, I think you're creating your own genre with that. It's almost like spoken words. I don't know, rap. It could be anything.
Yep, it could be anything. No one's going to know. languages. But yeah, that's what I've gone with.
Yeah.
So the
I like that.
next band position we have to fill is the epic sax guy. So did anyone jump out at you for this?
Yeah, Robin Lopez, and I can't explain why. I can just imagine Robin Lopez with a sax around his shoulder, just kind of really getting into it. His big, stupid hair flowing in the breeze. Just yeah, sunglasses on. I can see it.
Yeah, no, I can too. Yeah. I've gone with an actual NBA player who actually plays the saxophone.
Oh, you've done some research. Okay, that's good.
For some reason, this was one of the weird things that sticks in my mind, and I don't forget things like this. David Robinson. So I was like, oh, hold on, I'm onto something here. At like a 90s
Oh yeah,
NBA Sixers band. But,
yeah. I read the Dream Team by is it Jack Mannon? Yeah, I read that recently, and there's a picture of David Robinson in it playing the saxophone. And
that's where I got it from.
There's one of the black and white photos. I'm sure David Robinson with the saxophone, belting out a tune.
Oh, you know, 100% is. If anyone can see that on there, that is David Saxophone. David Robinson playing the saxophone. With someone else who appears to be playing a clarinet or some kind of oboe. Branford Marseille, whoever that is. Yeah, there you go.
Well, so he'd be a very good choice as saxophonist. Much better than Robin Lopez, I dare say, who would just blow into it.
We don't know. Backing dancer.
Backing dancer. I hadn't thought about this one, actually. Do you remember that dance-off that Shaq, Dwight Howard, and LeBron had at like the All-Star game in, God knows when this was, 2008? So I'm tempted to pick one of those. Maybe Dwight Howard. Actually, no, not Dwight Howard. He's not cool enough, is he? He's just a bit cringe. I'll go LeBron. Did you see that video of him? Was he salsa dancing last week?
I didn't see the one. No, I'm not seeing that. I'm gonna have to. Suddenly, I'm gonna have to Google LeBron salsa.
I saw it on Twitter and I wasn't sure what it was. It was like LeBron in like a salsa class. Does anyone on the chat know what I'm talking about? Right? Is this the fever dream that I had? I'm making up.
I'm just waiting for the emojis of what they call tumbleweeds to roll through.
Yeah.
Next.
Maybe it was clearly a dream I had. Fair enough.
For backing dancer, I've gone incredibly close to what you just. I've gone with Shaq.
Yep.
So, and like I said, I've gone big man all the way now. But yeah, exactly that dance off they had was just incredible. And
this might be the tallest. You might have a Guinness World Record here, the tallest four-piece of all time. What's the average height at the moment? 7 foot.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So the last one we've got was the penny whistle.
Penny whistle. There's only one player that came to mind here, and again, there's no reason for it other than I can just see him playing the penny whistle, and it's TJ McConnell. He just looks like a penny whistle kind of guy. And I have nothing to add to that other than I can see it. I can picture him just doing a little.
Yeah.
Actually, that's not the penny whistle. The penny whistle's like that. I don't know.
Penny whistle's straight, isn't it? Yeah. I was tempted to go down the same route as a big man again, as I have stuck to, but I couldn't think of another big man who could really sort of. I don't know. Maybe them, fingers are too big, whatever.
They're very small, delicate instruments. Like you don't want a big NBA center just snap it in half.
Exactly.
They're delicate, yeah.
So I've stuck with my '90s theme, and just for the visual discrepancy of seeing these three guys next to him, I've taken Muggsy Bogues.
Okay, I like that.
Like Shaq could be dancing. I went on this tangent the other week talking about Ace Ventura. When Nature Calls, the second one. Have you seen that?
Yes, of course I've seen that. Fantastic film.
Do you know the fight scene where the big guy turns round and he's got the little guy on his back?
Yeah.
Shaq and Muggsy for this.
Yeah.
And Muggsy just playing the whistle. Yeah. Right. Brilliant. That was very, very different. Talking on Discourse on Discord. Come join our Discord community, discord.me/doubleclutch. Lots of channels, lots of new people joining regularly. Playoff channel, as you'd expect, is absolutely popping right now. Lots of people staying up for the games. So if you are struggling to make it through that 3 a.m. tip, then feel free to jump in the chat. There's usually someone in there who can tell you the best snacks to have. For me, it's always just anything that's high sugar and coffee. I like a blanket as well at that time in the night. I need something wrapped around my shoulders, but then I have to throw it off when I start falling asleep if it's super late and you've watched 4 games already or 3 games already. That's the point. You got any top tips for staying up late to watch games?
It's certainly not a blanket. Here we go. LeBron.
Oh yeah, we've got LeBron
doing
South.
his thing. I don't know what the context of this is, by the way. I just remember seeing it, and the man can move. He's got great hips.
Mountain Dew advert.
Okay. Yeah.
If that's actually him dancing, then fair play. That's just another thing that LeBron is
annoyingly good at.
Stars. Sorry, go ahead.
In terms of tip, I can never afford a blanket because I just get too cozy. I have to kind of sit up, I think, and I always have my laptop and I'm always tweeting or doing other stuff, so that kind of keeps me locked in. But I think someone just put it in the chat. Don't have a job. Don't start at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. in the morning is the best way, I think, to stay up and watch. So everyone quit your jobs, commit to the playoffs. The economy is going to recover in a few months' time, so we'll all be all right, and then we'll get back on the horse once the champion's been decided.
Yeah, that sounds good. Listener questions. Hooping and Luton. As an avid watcher of the elite program that is Homes Under the Hammer, put your developers' hats on for the NBA. Which teams' houses need a complete renovation? Which franchises would you see as a quick fixer-upper? Which team would you buy to flip for a quick profit? And maybe you prefer a long-term project. Which franchise do you think you could let out for the best yield? Now, you don't need to give me an answer for every single one of them because there's actually about 6 things in there. But where did you go with this question?
There's a lot in that question. There's a lot. I'm intrigued by which franchise I'd flip for a quick profit because I think there's a few with a lot of potential. The Grizzlies, we've spoken about them enough, so I won't go into them. But they're certainly one who are just going to get better and better. I feel like the Indiana Pacers could be good. They're just not quite at the moment. I don't really like Nate Bjorkgren as a coach, but I think it's Sabonis, Turner, LeVert, and Brogdon. They have 4 very good guys there. The problem is it's Indiana, so you're not going to get someone in free agency. It's not the most attractive destination, so that's the sticking point. But I feel like they could be a really good team. So they're one I'd be interested to renovate, I'd say, or whatever the question demands on Homes Under the Hammer, as in change the wallpaper. I don't know, add a swimming pool, all that kind of stuff, and then resell for profit.
Yeah, that's a great shout. I've gone. See, I looked at the standings to try and figure out where I would go. I think half of me's like Golden State. There must be a dip on Golden State's value at the minute. The way that they've been out of the playoffs the last 2 years. I think that will change next year, but they're still. I think they're still going to be overpriced. I think you still wouldn't be getting value if you bought in now. I agree with you. I like Memphis for their long-term outlook. OKC obviously is having a renovation at the minute. I've gone with Detroit because they're not trying to be this bad.
Detroit, I would just knock the house down and sell the materials. Just move to the other side of the country, to be honest.
I think they've got a couple of all right pieces, but they've made some bizarre decisions. It would be I'd
never understand what the Pistons are doing ever. I never understand. When they gave Blake Griffin that massive contract, I didn't understand that. But look, what's Detroit?
The Clippers who gave the contract, wasn't it? And then they were trading
for it. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. It's interesting time in Detroit. Shout out to everyone who's a Detroit Pistons fan, and we're sorry that you're having to go through this. The legendary Ginger Shack. Is the outrage around LeBron James not getting any health and safety protocol days justified? Was he given a lighter look due to his prestige in the league, or is it a case of salty people wanting the king out for as many games as possible?
I think both of those things are true. I think it was Kyle Kuzma who had been drinking tequila with Drake and Michael B. Jordan. Then the league possibly would have come down a bit harder. But as far as I understand it, I don't know why LeBron's being so unclear about whether he's been vaccinated or not. But it seems as though he has been. I think Dennis Schroeder said a couple of weeks ago it was just him and LeBron who hadn't, and then his most recent comment was it's just him. So that implies LeBron has, but I don't understand why LeBron wouldn't just clear it up and say I've been vaccinated, it's fine, and then all of this goes away. But clearly he likes the mystery, and I don't know the drama he attracts. But I think both of those things are true. I think because it's LeBron, he has a leeway that other players don't have. I think that's just fundamentally true, and I can see why and understand why. And it was also fans. Well, but then I don't really understand that. I think fans of the Suns don't want him to play as many games. But if you're a general NBA fan, you want LeBron James playing games. Like he's 36. He only has however many years left. I mean, we don't know because he's a freak, but I want him to play as many. I want to see him play as many games as possible until the day he retires. And that's just so he can do what he wants as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. I think there is some unfairness, but I think when you're as powerful as he is as a player, you that comes with your territory. I do find it weird that this is the first time they've made a comment beyond, usually it's health and safety protocols broken, player goes straight in. Now they've just said they came out with the thing at the start which sounded like it was from a film about wasn't a virus level event or something, and it's just I don't know. What I don't get is why he's even done this thing.
Yeah,
why hasn't he got sign off beforehand? It's just that's just bizarre for someone who's usually so on point with everything. It just seems. I mean, maybe I don't know. Really, really, really weird situation. Rich Barrett. You're a young New Yorker. You've just got into hoops. You've no direct affiliation with Manhattan or Brooklyn because you're from Long Island. You need to pick a team to support. Knicks or Nets, and why?
I would support the Knicks because the Nets are now the team. They're too good. They're like Man United when I was growing up. They're the team. You don't want to just support the best team. Where's the fun? Where's the the sense of accomplishment in that? You want to support the underdog. So I'm always inclined to go that way. I think the Knicks team at the moment is so likable. For the first time in a long time, I think they have just a very likable team. They've been great all season. I mean, they're a playoff team as well, so it's not like you're supporting. It's not like it was the Knicks like a couple of seasons ago where they were just absolutely dead and they had nothing going for them. Like they're actually, Julius Randle's great. They've got Derrick Rose off the bench, Emmanuel Quickly, all these guys. Like they're an easy team to root for now, despite Spike Lee. So I would always opt for the Knicks in this situation. The Nets are too powerful. They're just too easy. No offense to Nets fans. I'm sure I know you've been through the hard times as well. I'm just saying right now, if you're a young kid, I'd go for the Knicks.
Yeah, I mean, anyone who's been in a multi-year coma or something and wakes up and hears this is going to wonder what the hell has happened.
Yeah.
What the hell? Like, I mean, if you're young, you don't necessarily know the history of stuff, but they'd have probably seen the Knicks logo anywhere, so I think they'd be more inclined to go with that. But it's probably who their dad supports. So that's I wonder whether there's that familial thing, or it might be a case of actually I've discovered basketball. I don't want to follow the same team as you, which. Actually, thinking of my own, I would have been an Ipswich fan, and instead I just don't like football.
I mean,
but you're right.
That's the logical solution to that problem.
Yeah, but yeah, they're a gritty, feel-good team. The Knicks are, so the competitor in me wants to say them. But I wonder how much a kid would be swayed by just.
I think a lot of kids are going to support the Brooklyn Nets at the moment. I mean, yeah, when you've got Kevin Durant, Kyrie Harden on your team, Blake Griffin, they're impossible to resist, I suppose, when you're.
And the black jerseys are incredible.
Very cool.
But
yeah,
it's the whole look of it, and then just watching stars with a jaw on the floor is just I can see that being a big draw for kids. Which sounds like a really sort of fence-sitting answer but it's a tough choice. They should just go completely and follow the Celtics because everyone needs more Celtics fans, don't they?
The Pistons,
Rich Fang,
the Pistons need more fans.
Go and follow the Pistons. Join the misery train. Okay, following Chris Middleton's clutch last-minute shot against the Heat on Saturday, what would you say are some of the greatest clutch shots in NBA history?
So I mean, obviously the one that doesn't need going into is Ray Allen against the Spurs. But I mean, we've all seen that millions and millions of times. I think that's probably like the poster boy of clutch playoff shots. The other two that I'm drawn back to is Damian Lillard against the Rockets. I think it was the first round Western Conference and Game 7, and he hit that free pointer off the inbound over Chandler Parsons of all people.
Yep.
And the place erupted. That's always one I have in my memory. And the other one, which is quite relevant actually, is Chris Paul when he was injured and he hit that kind of like hobbled floater over Tim Duncan and Danny Green to knock the Spurs out of the first round in what year is this? I want to say 2015, maybe 2014 or 2015. Do you remember that one for the Clippers?
Yeah, I know exactly because he had his hamstring injury.
Yeah, he did his hamstring. So he
right again.
Yeah, so it was like the other night. I was expecting him to do the same thing, but yeah, it was just he was hobbling down the court and just still put up the floater. So I just had that in my memory.
Blake Griffin hanging on the ring afterwards because the ball dropped through so cleanly. It's just
Blake Griffin almost killed himself going for the rebound on that, and just like he jumped. I can't remember who he jumped over, but literally just it was like when he jumped over the Kia or whatever, just leapfrogged him, and he looked like he was going to just drop on his head.
Yeah, no, they're good choices. Dame versus OKC, the series winner there again was epic as well. Kyrie Game 7 2016 against it's coming back from the 3-1. But the one that always sticks out to me, and again I'm showing my age, was how many years ago now? Well, 99, so 22 years ago. And probably in about a week's time it would have been the Memorial Day Miracle, which is basically Sean Elliott hit a 3-pointer falling backwards, where if his heels had been on the ground, he was out of bounds. And he managed to hit this shot over Rasheed Wallace, who was 6'10", at full stretch, flying through the air. And I think it might have been a Western Conference Finals game. But yeah, incredible shot. I remember having the slam up from poster of it, and it was Rasheed Wallace just looks so long in it. Like it didn't got the shot out at all. It was incredible clutch shot. Which leads us on to a question from Chi. Who are the best all-time playoff performers? Guys who take their game to the next level at the most important time.
So my answer for this is because I rewatched actually that 3-1 Cavaliers Warriors finals the other day, and I was again so impressed by Sean Livingston. I think Sean Livingston was the guy who I know the Cavaliers won the series, but I mean for that whole Golden State run, he was incredible. Like he just come into the game and just no one could guard his mid range, like just the length of him, and he just hit these crucial buckets. He'd defend anyone, and again he's that kind of glue guy. Steps up in the playoffs, not really like a star, but just crucial to any kind of title chances. The same goes for Sean Battier and all these guys, the kind of like multi-positional defenders who can hit buckets when they need to. So I'm gonna go Sean Livingston. Andre Iguodala as well was fantastic, but yeah, he really stood out for me.
His turnaround post
just unguardable
jump shot was just insane, and it was just Sean Livingston's a good choice. I've also gone with a role player. I've gone with Big Shot Bob, Robert Horry, 7 titles, and I think he only averaged about 8 points a game, but man, he could stick daggers in people just from all over.
He could have been an answer to the last question as well with that Lakers shot. Yeah, I just realised I called him Sean Battier, not Shane Battier, so I apologise for that. So you're talking about Sean Elliott. I'm getting my Sean's in my head.
It's all good. So that would be my choice. We had a question fly through in the chat from the Hoops Nerd saying Kyle predicted Clippers in the finals. Is that still the case?
I'm glad you brought this up. Watching. Because it's funny, I did a big preview of the playoffs, so I wrote a little bit about every team, and I said in my Clippers section, like Kawhi and Paul George can't shoot like they shot in the playoffs last season, and in Game 1 they both did not have particularly good shooting nights. So I'm not as confident as I was. I think the Clippers are still a good team, but those two really need to, I don't know, shake off these demons they have, because they're fantastic players. They're two of the best players in the league, but I don't know what it is. It can't be a mental thing either, because I've seen Kawhi we've all seen Kawhi do it when it matters. Paul George, when he was on Indiana, was a fantastic playoff player. So I don't know what it is now. Maybe it's they're both not quite alpha dogs, and they need that of a. They're both kind of these quiet leaders, I suppose, rather than they're not the kind of the bold, brash types. They're kind of more subdued. So I don't know whether that's it, but I don't know. I'm not that confident anymore after one game, which is silly.
It is interesting because the way Kawhi has been successful everywhere he's been before has never been as the vocal leader.
Exactly. Yeah.
Kyle Lowry was that in Toronto, and obviously the big three were established for however many decades in San Antonio. Mm-hmm. So maybe that is an issue.
I think they're maybe not suited to each other in terms of there's too much overlap in what they do. They maybe need, first of all, like a different, more vocal leader alongside them, like you say. But also, they're kind of very similar two-way players, and maybe there's too much of that, and they just need, I don't know, maybe either a star big man or a star guard to complement that. But I don't know why it isn't. They looked very good during the regular season, particularly the latter stages. So I'm not ruling them out just yet. But yeah, I'm concerned. I'd say I'm concerned.
It is interesting that given how much of an X factor two-way wing players are, people who can spread the floor and guard multiple positions, that having two guys who do it at probably in terms of two-way players, they're probably top three in the league from the wing, and yet somehow that's not a good mix or not a good fit. And one of the things I thought the Mavericks, or particularly Luke, I thought this team basically was perfectly constructed to stymie Doncic. Because you obviously got the length of Reggie Jackson as well. You've got Nicholas Batum who can switch and do what he needs to do for a couple of possessions, and then throw on top of that the world's worst pest of Patrick Beverley. I thought they could really cause him issues, but you see, he didn't seem at all fazed by them.
No, not at all. And Luka, to his credit, I mentioned this in the preview as well. Luka, he's only been in a couple, but he ups his averages in the playoffs, and that's significant considering he has these ridiculous numbers during the regular season anyway. So to up it where he's the sole attention of an opposition defense is remarkable. First of all, given his age, and the fact that Dallas really, no disrespect to Porzingis or Tim Hardaway Jr. or any of these guys, but like he is their be all and end all. So he's gonna draw everything, and to somehow take that and improve from the regular season, I find amazing. But like you say, the Clippers, they have enough defenders that they can throw at him. So maybe it's just like rejig their defensive scheme or whatever they do on that end as the series goes on to because that's the key, isn't it? Just stop Luka and you stop the Mavericks.
Yeah, cut the head off the snake. It's going to be really interesting to see how that series develops. Because like I say, it's one game. You can have a bit of nerves in the first game, but if they don't come out of that round, or if they struggle to get out of that round, then yeah, an axe will be falling somewhere on that roster construction. Let's jump on to games of the week. What game would you pick for people to watch this week?
I've gone for game 2 of Suns Lakers on Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. Yes, I always have to get my head around that. So it's a 3 a.m. game, obviously, but the game one was fantastic. The Lakers had come back fighting. AD has a point to prove. LeBron's LeBron. You've got Chris Paul, 2 all-time greats, and then Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton as well. It's a must-watch, and I think it's good. They're going to square it up. So that's my pick for the game. It
is the must-watch series, but I'm going to swerve and not pick that for my game of the week, or rather another one from that series. I'm going to go with the extremely UK-friendly tip time of 6:30 p.m. Bucks versus Heat. I could have gone with I think that's on Saturday. I was tempted to go the Sunday 8:30 tip, but I'm just appreciating having, a sociable hours basketball game. It's amazing. Okay, we'll wrap it up there. Thank you to everyone who's been watching. Shout out to Ben Bean, who's been testing the YouTube stream. Everything seems to be working over there. Shout out to everyone who's been watching and commenting in the Twitch chat. Thank you to Kurt for making this run as well as he does as always. Kyle, where can people find you?
They can find me on Twitter, which is my @ is just my name there, Kyle Picknell. You can find me on the Sky Sports NBA website, dominating all the articles there. And you can also find me up in my flat at all 20 of the hours watching playoff basketball. So if you're interested in coming around, please do feel free, as long as you're vaccinated.
That'd be amazing if you just randomly get knocks at the door now.
Yeah, not
awesome.
giving up my address, but
yeah, no, I would. Brilliant. That wraps it up for this week. We will be back as always next Monday, which is bank holiday. So, and we might even have some second round sets by then. Certainly, we could have some playoff Series 1 winners. So we'll see you then. Enjoy all the hoops. Take care.
Yeah, I can only find a recorder.